right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. It is Monday, March 28th, 2022. I am Chad Zumock. With me is Tony Mazur and the star of Mondays with Mazur.
That's correct. How are you, Chad? You doing well?
I'm doing well. Right out of the gate, I got to mention this because this literally just happened 10 minutes ago. So I went out to my car to get the captain's hat because I had in the car for some reason.
And this is your second captain's hat, remember?
This is the second one. Mm. And I swear to God, I opened the car and there's a Starbucks like empty coffee container in the console. Here's the thing, Tony. I don't drink coffee. No one's been in my car with me. So how the fuck did it get in there?
Did Bob Kelly, did he stop by? I know he likes coffee.
No, nobody.
Get your coffee.
I had my show last night in Fort Myers, which was awesome at the Loft. And I drove there, did the show, drove 2.5 hours back, never stopped for coffee. There was no coffee cup in there last night. I don't know how a coffee cup got in my console. It's scary. It's weird. The only thing I could come up with is I sometimes forget I put the keys in my door. Maybe somebody did it to fuck with me. Maybe, I don't know.
Like, hey, don't mess this. Don't leave your car unlocked. You never know what will happen.
Yeah, but I don't. It was very strange. Very strange.
Odd. Very odd. I'm also dealing with my own problems today.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to be on my A game today. I'm just going to forewarn everybody. I think I have kidney stones right now. I've been writhing in pain for 3 straight days. I got some cranberry juice right now. I don't know if this is the case. After we get done with the podcast, I'm going to the urgent care just to see what's going on. But it started.
Am I keeping you, by the way? I mean,
no. I wanted to do this.
Okay.
I'm going to push on through. I'm going to use all my energy that I have today, but
I also don't want you to die.
No, I'm not going to. If I've been dealing with this for three days now, I think I can go another hour.
What if you died on camera? That'd be awesome. Do I keep going?
Well, that would be like, do you know the story of Christine Chubbuck? She was a depressed girl she was from Hudson, Ohio, and she was down in, I think, Sarasota, Florida, and she blew her brains out live on television. Or I could be like, Arbud Dwyer. I could just blow my brains out right there. And maybe it'll take the pain away.
Like if you fell over like right now, do I keep going? Do I call 911 on the speaker? And do I put it out?
Keep it going a little bit. Like if I collapse, I'll try to bring the laptop down with me.
Okay.
So that way you can kind of see me like flop like a fish or something, like if I'm having a heart attack or if I just like pissing blood or something. Who knows?
Your family probably wouldn't want me to put it out if you died on camera, right?
I would want it to be put out. Unlike Bob Saget's family, I want people to know how I died.
Okay, so that's consent right there.
That's the legalese.
All right, go ahead.
So Friday I went down to Columbus, Ohio, and they have one of the last, I think we have 2 left in Ohio. And there's not many left in the country, Ponderosa Steakhouse.
You love weird, obscure restaurants.
Obscure from our youth, from the 80s and 90s. So I went to Ponderosa on Friday, then went to a couple of bars in downtown Columbus. Woke up at 7 a.m. with this horrible cramping feeling inside my stomach. And I'm thinking, here's food poisoning. Here it is. This is God telling me, stop going to Ponderosa. There's a reason they all closed. And I'm writhing in pain. I'm thinking all day Saturday. I'm sitting in our hotel. I can't get comfortable. I'm trying to do anything I can to at least fall asleep or take the pain away. And I am thinking, oh, food poisoning. Then it just, something tells me that there was a little bit more to it. So I wondered, I'm like, am I constipated? And I'm like, I'm not constipated. I shit all the time. It's no problem. And that's when somebody said, are you sure it's not like something with your bladder or kidneys? Like you might have a kidney stone. And I started looking things up and it's pretty accurate right now. So I've got like this pain in my lower ab region. It is an acute, like if you kicked me in my lower stomach there, I will scream. And I can't guarantee you I'm not going to drop an F-bomb like Will Smith did last night in the Oscars.
Ooh, good segue. If anybody has any kind of medical advice for Tony, reach out to him on his Patreon. Check your brain. If you've been through this, I know the listeners like to help out. Not all of them are trolling. Some of them help. They give you good information. So reach out to Tony.
I'll provide an update if indeed it's kidney stones and I either got to blast it or if I have to pass it or if I have to take some kind of antibiotic. But yeah, it's just that's what I've dealt with over the weekend. Like I'm thinking
maybe it's AIDS.
You know what? I kind of hope so. Actually, I hope it's COVID. I hope it's COVID.
What if you got COVID and AIDS? You'd be Fauci's favorite person.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing is he wanted the HIV people to. Oh wait, no, we're gonna get flagged on here. And
oh yeah,
if we talk about Fauci.
And Dustin, we did a podcast, and Dustin on Matreon goes, "Congratulations, you guys didn't mention COVID once."
There you go. Well, let's before we talk. Well, actually, you know what? Let's talk about the news of the day, and then I want to get to talking about the apparently amicable breakup between Gino and Aaron.
Yeah. Fuck Taylor Hawkins. Anyways.
So fuck you, Taylor Hawkins, with your opioids.
How crazy was that, by the way? That's fucking insane.
Well, especially when you work as a PD at an alternative station where Foo Fighters test really well in our format and in our market.
Oh yeah. Get ready, terrestrial radio. Foo Fighter block coming.
Yeah. We got Foo Fighters top of every hour here on your rock station.
Okay. So I put out a poll because I just got off the phone with Jim Florentine, going back and forth for over an hour. And he believes that Will Smith situation with Chris Rock was totally planned and fake. He says, in fact, he's 80% sure it's fake and he'll be 90% sure it's fake by tomorrow. He thinks it was all publicity. He thinks Chris Rock's going to sell more tickets now. He thinks everyone's talking about, everyone is talking about it. I put out a poll on Twitter and it said, about to talk about the bitch slap gate on Patreon with Tony. What do you think? 24% said it was real. 24% says it was fake. And 51% said Hollywood stinks. So what do you
stinks.
So what do you think? Where do you stand?
When I first saw it, I woke up again, writhing in pain and not able to pee at 3:00 in the morning. So I'm like, all right, what's going on in the news if I can't fall back to sleep right now? And I see that because I went to bed early. I couldn't care less about the Oscars. It's definitely there's plenty of sides to this because you're talking about the reaction towards it as well. Because it's not so much what's happened there. Now, the whole story of, Chris Rock makes a G.I. Jane joke, which is a 25-year-old reference that's not
a 1997 film that was, forgettable.
Yeah, if you're one of I've never seen it before. And if you're one of those queer Latinas who are in the audience who are like 19 years old who won the Oscar, you don't know, you don't remember G.I. Jane. I don't even think Demi Moore wants to remember G.I. Jane. But he got mad. Will Smith went up there on stage because joking about Jada Pinkett Smith's alopecia. Now, I think it's definitely staged. I think it was definitely like Will Smith. Do you really think Will Smith? Oh, and here's the other thing is they say, well, if it's staged, why would Will Smith drop an F-bomb where he knows Will Smith will not get in trouble if he drops an F-bomb? Are you kidding me?
And they're on a delay anyway. It was beeped on TV. I guess overseas it wasn't, but
yeah. In Australia, they had the full thing. That's what's kind of gone viral right now. But what does it matter about bleeping things in 2022 anyways? If you hear fuck that goes out on the air, people are like, oh, wow, they got away with that. No one's going to say, I was really, this isn't Janet Jackson Nipplegate 2004 anymore. This is a different story. So I think it was absolutely planned. And especially because Chris Rock, who's a comic who, I think his comedy has kind of decreased since his fame increased. But I think he could have been one of those that would have gone out and just, he gets slapped and he would have like 18 comebacks immediately for Will Smith and Jada and just would throw everybody under the bus. But I think that was what got more people interested in the Oscars. Actually, they were up from last year. I think 10 million watched the Oscars last year, 13 this year. Well, now it's down from 2020, but
on the flip side of this, I'm going to play devil's advocate on all this because I can go either way. It happened live, so it didn't increase the ratings. I'm not interested after it happened, like to go see who won Best Picture. I'm not interested in watching next year because of this. So yeah, it did bring a lot of attention to the Oscars, but I'm not interested in going to see Chris Rock. I'm not going to go see a Will Smith movie. So
that's not how they look at it. The people in charge look at it as the memes will go on for probably a decade right now. You're going to see the slapping meme. I made a slapping meme today about my kidney stones. It's one of those cases of somebody that is, I mean, look at Will Smith's having a good time. Everything's great.
But his wife's giving weird reactions, like she's not into it.
Well, because they don't. That's why they don't have comedians hosting the Oscars. And I know there were apparently 2 last night, but that's why they don't have comedians hosting the Oscars.
So okay, here, what do they do it again? Here, I'm gonna go back and watch that one more time. Here. Now, Jim is convinced because Chris didn't put up his. He just took it. It looked like he leaned into it. He says, "Chris is a nerd. He's never been in fights, so it's fake."
I think it's fake. Yeah. I think it's another thing. I think it's, if anything, it's gone. If you thought the meme business was kind of going away and going by the wayside and people needed to find some new material, this is great new material.
But on the flip side of that, Chris Rock has been shitting on Will Smith and Jada for a long time. I guess they protested the Emmys in 2016 and he made a bunch of jokes how, just making fun of him for protesting and not being invited and all that. So,
well, remember when Chris Rock hosted the Oscars? What was it, like 2005?
That's what I meant, the Oscars.
Yeah, and he started ripping on, I think it was Jude Law. He was talking about his scarf or something. And, I could be wrong. I could be completely getting that wrong. But then Sean Penn goes on stage, says, Jude Law is one of our fine actors in our society, blah, blah, blah. They don't want comedians hosting the Oscars. They don't want comics, period. Because you look at all the jokes that I've seen. You can't make, this person has a disability with alopecia. Yeah. Are you gonna die of alopecia? No, you're just, which by the way, here's another thing. Black women love talking about hair, even if they don't have any hair. I mean, there's the one congresswoman in the Squad has a bald head. It's one of those things where it's very normalized in that community. But here's the big blowback that's kind of popped off from this is you're seeing 2 prominent A-list actors get into a fight, but they're Black. And it spawned a criticism of people talking about, let's say, I saw this one. This is from a Twitter user called Black Girl in Maine. She said, Black emotions scare white people. That is quite clear. Y'all shook because you used to seeing your favorite Black people wear their masks, and not COVID masks, but talking about that. It's the only people who are upset today are white people because we see what we think is assault or violence, whether it was staged or not. It was pretty shocking to a lot of people that were watching. But the way they're looking at, the way a segment of the community looks at it is Will Smith is defending his woman, and violence, remember, words are violence, but violence is not violence. If somebody calls you the N-word or somebody says something about your wife or about you, for whatever reason, there are segments in our society that say it's all right to use violence. I mean, think about the punch a Nazi thing of the last, 5-6 years, is if you see somebody that may not even be a Nazi, but has different political views and is at a rally or a march or something, it's up to you to punch that person because you're right. Remember, silence is violence. Words are violence, but if you actually inflict actual violence, it's not violence.
So Jim says this was strictly for attention. Now, here's the thing. Will Smith is a closeted gay guy. I mean, he's
a cuck.
He's a total cuck. He's been in Hollywood for a long time. His family's toxic. They're all fucked up. His kid's fucked up. Jada's a lesbian, fucking dudes, all kinds of shit. So this is where I believe it's real. So I think Will Smith is probably crazy. There's video footage of him pushing reporters and punching or slapping.
There's also video of him kissing dudes.
Yeah. And him going on excursions with boyfriends. But so I can buy that. He's that crazy. He's in that much of a bubble that he thinks he can walk on stage. He's an A-lister. They're not going to stop him. Hollywood's a bunch of cucks. So they're going to let it happen. So I get he might do that just for publicity. I mean, the guy lives on social media. He's all over the place. He's always trying to make noise to get his brand out there.
He's one of the top selling actors of the last 30 years. I mean, he's a guy that you think this is where you have to think that there's something going on behind the scenes with Will Smith. Is there is nobody who's been famous consistently for over 30 years. I mean, he went from DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince to the actual show to movies and A-list movie.
Well, he's in with the gay mafia in Hollywood. It's the bottom line. I mean, didn't his first wife leave him because she saw another dude suck his dick or something? I think
allegedly, I don't know.
This is all hearsay, whatever, but there's something to it. His wife. And here's a story I will share with you. Miles, who worked at my old station, said he interviewed Jada Smith on her tour bus when she was going around with her punk rock band. I forgot what they were called.
Okay.
And he was asking her these questions, and Will Smith was on the bus in the back. He goes, I remember this. I swear. He goes, you best be not talking to my wife like that. You best not be talking to my wife. He raised his temper. So I remember that. And they were inside of a tour bus, and he just had like a mini recorder.
Yeah.
So there could be some reality to that. And then on the flip side, what does Chris Rock get out of that? Because in my mind, he looks like a bitch. He just got bitch slapped. What does he get out of that?
I don't think he gets anything other than the fact that you're going to have comics come out and support him. And nobody's going to protest a Chris Rock show. So if anything, he gains, but he doesn't lose. That's the whole thing. With Will Smith, he can lose from this. Chris Rock doesn't lose anything. He'll either stay the same or gain. You'll have people say, God damn, that was brutal what happened on the Oscars. That was terrible. I'm going to go see Chris Rock next time he comes to town. Chris Rock is one of those guys that I've seen his last couple of specials. They're not really good, but it's like we were talking about this on Friday with Adam Sandler. Is that when you have that different perspective?
We had Adam Sandler on the podcast?
I wish. Yeah, we're Adam Andler.
I don't remember that either. The Starbucks cup and Adam Sandler being on our podcast.
I know, it's amazing. It's just a weekend of like kidney stones and just a haze right now. But with Adam Sandler going back into doing stand-up or some of these other acts that you were a big comic and it'd be like if Albert Brooks or Woody Allen got back into doing stand-up. The reason comics are really good is because you have that perspective, unique perspective of somebody who lives on the road, broken relationships, broken family that you came from.
Hey, quit describing my life.
But that's why you're a good comic, though. And Chris Rock has been famous for 30 years now. He's lost that perspective of what makes comics a good comic. And that's kind of where, unless you're an otherworldly talent, I just don't see it translating and being very good special. So so with Chris Rock, though, I think because he's on there and people remembered who he was, people will go out and go check him out whenever he comes to town. Remember, he's a pro-vax guy. He's a very pro-vax guy. So you might need to show your vaccine.
Yeah, he's in the Hollywood system for sure. But if I'm Chris Rock, maybe it's me. I press charges and I demand all that. I don't know. I'm so back and forth on it. I could see it being a work. But I definitely don't respect Chris Rock for just getting bitch slapped and just taking it.
Yeah.
And people are saying he was a victim and he did the right thing. The show must go on. But I don't know. The whole thing stinks to me.
Well, even if it's
I'm out of
fake,
that cesspool.
Even if it's fake, it's what people saw was an assault right there.
Yeah.
Like, you can say whatever you want. They could, Will Smith probably went up to Chris Rock and winked at him as he's walking up. But what you saw there is essentially is assault. It's violence. And when you have segments of our society that are saying, hey, he talked about his wife as a joke. Remember, this is a comic and you're talking about, this is an A-list comic talking to a super A-list actor and his A-list acting wife. Are you talking about the punching down? You can't punch down. But here's the other thing. I'm going to make the race angle here. What if Will Smith was, white, and went up to Chris Rock and slapped him? Were you having a different discussion today?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I think that's why it was set up the way it was, because you have people talking about, and it's black on black violence. And that's one thing we don't care about in this country.
It's I don't know, man. It makes me really dislike Hollywood. I don't like it. It's not good. For me, and I'm built differently. I'm not a mouth breather. I'm not the ticket buyer. I'm not going to go. So I don't want to support Will Smith or Chris Rock in this situation in any of their endeavors. And here's on the flip side of that. I don't think Chris Rock is that good of an actor. I think he's a pretty bad actor. So his reaction to me seemed pretty good. It seemed authentic, but I don't think he's that good of an actor to pull it off.
Well, and also he's a comic who would normally, if you're a comic, I got to say, the lines that Chris Rock was using was not as good as the ones Amy Schumer used last night. And I thought Amy Schumer was terrible. I thought she bombed, and I thought Chris Rock was worse. So I kind of think after that, he's a little disheveled after that. Because anytime, even if you are, prepared for a slap, or if it happens, you don't know what's going on after that. But he could have had comebacks going why not? But he doesn't have any comebacks available. Like he did that thing where it's like, I'm not going to say anything. The real Chris Rock from 25 years ago, the bigger and blacker, would have had some comeback.
See, that's where I think it's real because Chris, like you said, Chris will come back and he's trying to be a pro. He's stunned. He's shocked. If you don't recall, I got punched in Treasure Island, that stand-up show, and I was broken up immediately, but I didn't see it coming. And I got slapped playing pickup basketball once, and I didn't see it coming. There was no build up. So I think the last thing Chris Rock would have ever thought is like, this guy really going to walk on stage and slap me in front of millions of people on a fucking network TV? He thought he probably either going to go back and forth and roast battle or something. If worst case scenario.
Just got a text message from Jim Florentine. He says fake. I'm not giving away his number. It's all good. Yeah, it's I think it's absolutely fake. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, it's, again, here's what's happening. I'm gonna bring it back around here to talk about what's really important. Do you understand the president, our great president of the United States, Joseph Robinette Biden, over the weekend? He said two things that should shock people and that should be mainstream news all over the place. He said Americans need to be prepared for food shortages. And he also said that he's basically, I think he said, for God's sake, somebody's got to get Putin out of there, meaning regime change, which is what, the neocons and George W. Bush and all of them wanted: regime change in Syria and Egypt and in Afghanistan. Iraq,
I'm interested how you're going to tie this into the Jay-Z or the Will Smith, Chris Rock.
Those are two massive stories, and we're not talking about them because we're talking about two A-list actors. One of them slapped the other one, and that's all that's in the news today.
Even Taylor Hawkins, who died on Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, Taylor Hawkins. Yeah, he died Friday, and he's out of the news.
We moved on. It's like Foo Fighters are still in mourning. Taylor Hawkins is still on the autopsy table, and we're like, did you see what Will Smith did?
Yeah. Dave Grohl's like, man, I can't believe what happened to. Wait, what happened at the Oscars?
Yeah, Dave Grohl's like, fuck. Is my band done, or what? Do I got to regroup and make another band?
I was watching the basketball yesterday, some college basketball, and Kevin Harlan's doing a promo for, I think, the iHeartRadio Music Awards. It says the iHeartRadio Music Awards featuring Dua Lipa and this and that and Foo Fighters. And I'm like, are you sure they're going to be there? I mean, they might be there in spirit, but especially Taylor. But did anybody update the live read that he was supposed to have?
Yeah. Foo Fighters might not make it. We'll have to look into it.
They have some shit going on.
Yeah. It's pretty insane. I weighed in on it. I had some good tweets. I said, just to promote my Twitter at Shed Zumock, if you want to follow me, I said that, let's not lose focus. Will Smith could have potentially gave Chris Rock COVID last night.
That's right. I didn't see any masks on anybody last night.
What
are the masks? I thought there's the B2 variant, whatever, the Omicron variant. That's deaths are down like 93%.
Looking forward to the Comedy Central roast of Jada Pinkett Smith, and G.I. Jane 2 is gonna suck.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fucking. I'm glad I'm out of that cesspool Hollywood, and as I watch you in pain.
Yeah, I'm struggling today, so we might have to be up against it earlier than we normally do today. I wanted to get to the other thing that came out over the weekend, and it's two friends of ours in Aaron Berg and Gino Bisconti. And for the last 6 years, they've been hosting a show called In Hot Water. And it was on every Tuesday for the first couple of years. And then when they were making some changes and tweaks to the lineup back in 2018, they said, how about 4 days a week? And they put them in the morning. It's interesting when you're watching Gino drinking in the morning. But then eventually, I think a year ago, they moved back to afternoon. So they did a daily afternoon show from Monday through Thursday from 2 until 3:30. And it's going away. Apparently April 21st.
Let me put this up real quick, because I did a little mini Patreon episode because people kept messaging me about it.
Okay.
And I said, full disclosure, and I know you and I were on a text thread with a friend of ours. I was like, I don't give a shit. But if you want to tie into the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing, is it a work? Is that a work?
I don't think it is. And I'll tell you this, you and I have talked about this off the air. about somebody like Dave Landau. Now, Dave Landau, before he joined Compound Media, was a touring comic that would show up to, Ames, Iowa, and he would do a weekend there. He would go to our home club, the Funny Stop, and
he had credits to Comedy Central. He had The Last Comic Standing, so he had done some stuff. So he was an established headliner.
But he was an established headliner. Is always great on stage. But one thing that really takes it up a notch is not, are you good on stage and off stage? Can you do a podcast? Can you do a radio show? And that's what kind of helped the Jackie Martlings, the Artie Langs of the world. So Dave ends up being a frequent guest on Cumia's show to the point where they asked him to be co-host when the Artie thing was starting to slowly go down. And I think they did a week of shows with Artie, and then that was about it. And so Dave was on the show for upwards of about 2.5, 3 years. And even during the pandemic, Dave stayed at Anthony's home. And so by March, I think it was March of 2021, Dave decides I'm leaving for Steven Crowder. Now, I think Cumia is the reason he was able to get on to Crowder, along with the fact that they're two Michigan guys. And they have very similar senses of humor and like a dry sense of humor too. I'm not the biggest Steven Crowder fan, but I could see why people enjoy it.
And let me tell you something, full disclosure for anyone that's ever questioned Dave's move. If you go to his Instagram over the weekend, he took a private jet with Steven Crowder to his gig. I'm just saying it was a pretty decent business decision. I'm just going to put that out there.
I've done a number of shows with Dave when he was before Compound, during Compound, and now after Compound. Before Compound, they'd have him up. He'd come up Thursday. There'd be half the room, maybe a quarter of the room, just because it's an off night at the comedy club. During Cumia's show, you're still getting like a good crowd for a Friday and a late show Saturday and everything. But he wasn't, people would come up and say like, hey, great show, and they would leave. After Cumia, now on Crowder, Dave has a line down the street.
Dude, I opened for him in Tampa. It was down the street, and he's selling shirts for $30, and he sells them all out.
Selling shirts, taking pictures with fans, everything. And they all want to meet him. So if you think leaving, and I love Anthony, I love Compound Media, I love what their original mission statement.
I don't. Go ahead.
To think what happened there was a bad move, Kevin Brennan. No, not a good move. So Aaron Berg's kind of in a similar situation right now, where Dave is a recovering addict. He's almost 40. So he has a young kid, he's married, and he wants to expand his career in a way that may not necessarily be in the quote unquote mainstream. Like, you're not going on Comedy Central and you're not getting a Showtime special, but you found life at another network and another forum where you can be able to crack jokes and do skits and everything. Aaron's kind of in that similar situation. And I think a lot of people, now I could be wrong, and Aaron could message me or he could text me if I'm incorrect when I say this. I think in the last, I'll be honest. I think that Funny Stop show last year that we did, the Comedians of the Compound, pushed things over the edge for Aaron, because he saw that Gino just got too drunk on stage, all 3 nights. And in the final show Friday and the final show Saturday was just, he couldn't form words. He was so drunk. Now the fans come out for that. And I want to get to that in a second, but I think if you are somebody like Aaron Berg, you're a recovering addict. You're somebody that is you're turning 50 this year. You want to be able to get to that level of where you're a household name, whether it's in acting, whether it's in podcasting, whether it's in just doing comedy. And he's looking at the network that he's on, and you just have degenerates. You have somebody like Gino, somebody like Anthony, where it's just constant alcohol. And for somebody who's an addict, or a former addict, it gets tough to deal with people who are always in that mindset, because you remember yourself in that mindset. So I think that's where Aaron's looking at it. It's not so much Gino dropping N-bombs, and it's not so much Gino's drinking. I think he's looking at the network as a, kind of a
sinking ship,
a real sinking ship, like Anthony's bowling league. It's just, hey, we're all having a good time. We do shots and then we go home. And Aaron wants to do more than just that. That's why he was scheduling all these shows. He was doing the promotion for him. He was communicating with the graphics guy, getting new shirts and getting the brand out there. The problem is when your brand is tainted by somebody who uses the N-word a lot, and the former co-host of the Opie and Anthony show, who may or may not have said racial slurs on a tweet that got him fired from Sirius, it's an uphill battle that I don't think you're going to win.
Yeah. Like I said on my Patreon, I don't give a shit. I don't care if they're leaving. I don't watch the show. I know you do,
but at the same time, well, I mean, it's more so, it's not just the show in general. It's where we are as society, because I think a lot of people, apparently on the Gum Fridays podcast, were beating up Aaron, saying you're a deserter, you're leaving us. And everybody who called into Thursday's show when Aaron said he was leaving, not one of them supported Aaron. They thought, it said, you knew what you were getting yourself into with this. Don't forget your past. You know, you knew this was an uncensored network where you can say and do whatever you want.
But on the flip side of this, you being a radio guy, you could see the work angle too. There might be a bit of a bit going on to create some buzz, some drama. And the one thing the Compound Media whole Misery Loves Company audience loves is fucking drama. And this is perfect chatter for them. That's why I'm not really following along, and I don't really buy it.
Well, I mean, think about it. If Gino, on, I think May 1st is when they come back from vacation. If Gino's hosting Gino's Junkyard or whatever from 2 until 3:30, it's not going to be the same as it was when Aaron was on. So,
I never watch, so I don't know. I don't get the show. I've been on it. I still don't know what it is.
Well, and it's more so when you talk about comedy, like you and I have talked about this on the air and off the air about Twitter. And when Twitter was like really big, it's starting to get big in like 2009, 2010, 2011, you kind of got a chance to go like, hey, I don't know that many people personally on this, but I'm connecting with people in my area and somebody who likes my comedy, somebody who likes my shared interests. And then you shoot the shit and it's just back and forth. Well, the problem is it's a different society. And that's why if you check my Twitter account right now, I don't talk politics. I don't talk anything controversial because I'm in a position now. Now, people say, well, you're a pussy. Yeah, I'm a pussy if I have a job that I can lose if I tweet something stupid. I've done that before. I don't want to be fired from jobs, but I also want a good balance. I want a balance of where I can still get my opinions out, where I'm not going to get fired over it. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to kind of hide behind some shields. But, you know, like a lot of people say, no, you should say it. We need, get fired, get in trouble, be brave, never stop fighting. I get that mindset, but I'm in broadcasting. I mean, this is the business where everybody couldn't wait to roll their sleeves up and get vaxxed. This is the business that says hashtag Ukraine, hashtag Black Lives Matter.
If you got a radio gig, it is a countdown to when you get fired.
Yeah, exactly. And like I know I'll get fired at some point. I don't know. Could be this podcast that I'm doing right now. Who knows? But the writing's on the wall for a business like mine. And I've invested 15 plus years into it. Do you think I really want to go back and go like, shit, I might get my CDL or like, I mentioned it before one time that before I got this job, I actually considered being like a delivery guy, not like an Uber guy, but there's a couple of hotels that are nearby. Now I wanted to pick up a part-time job of shuttling people back and forth from the airport to the hotel. I mean, it's a shit job, but I needed to do so. I got a bump in pay with my current job, so I got rid of that. I didn't think about that anymore, but you have to be fluid in this business. You can't get too comfortable. And
I heard they might be hiring a co-host on In Hot Water.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think Stevie Lou wants to be a part of it.
Oh, Jesus. Gives a fuck about that dude.
Mike Figs.
No, I don't know. That could be a work. Again, I don't follow the show. I know you're very in tune. And Gino's a friend and Aaron's a friend, and I like both of them. I'm not talking shit, but there's a lot of friends podcasts I don't listen to, and that's one of them.
What do you think? Well, what do you think about Compound Media in general? Do you think that when Anthony goes to South Carolina, you're going to have shows that are going to start dropping off? And, is this just going to be one of those where you're paying for Anthony's show and that's about it? Like, is Chrissy Mayer going to move on to something else?
She's a
Gas
star.
Digital, the replacement grounds?
Of course,
for everybody?
Chrissy Mayer's a star. Of course, she's going to move on. I mean, you can't keep that star down. I mean, she's going to blow the fuck up. No, I think just judging by the couple of appearances I've been on as of late, I used to get a lot of chatter online and texts and emails, and they've gone down considerably. So I don't know what their viewership is. It's probably not as good. But yeah, Anthony, man, I'm telling you right. If I made Opie and Anthony money, you'll never see me again. I don't understand why those two put themselves out there. I'm going to South Carolina. I'm shutting it all down and just having a time of my life. I'm going to the Bahamas. I'm getting the fuck out. I did it.
I think it's like a football coach. It's like, why would a football coach like Joe Gibbs, for example, you won a Super Bowl with the team then known as the Redskins, and you decide like 15, 20 years later, I'm going to come back to the Redskins. I'm going to coach them. It's because some coaches like to coach. And if you're a broadcasting person, unless you have fuck you money, a lot of people say, look, I got to get back on the radio. I mean, like, look what Adam Carolla did. Adam Carolla was on the Man Show. He had enough money that he was able to make from the production company, the Jackhole Productions, with Jimmy Kimmel's show and everything. And he has a radio show. He's filling in for the Howard's West Coast affiliates. The show starts to go away about 3 years later, and he decides to invest in a podcast. Well, I mean, I've never once listened to Adam Carolla's podcast. In fact, I used to listen to his radio show, and I never found it very good. But I like Adam Carolla. I like what he was able to build. But is that what we have to do right now? Is that, no matter how much money you have, some people who are in broadcasting just have to broadcast. I mean, think about it. Joe Rogan can put one podcast out. I don't know what his deal is like, but he could be one of those guys who says, yeah, I'll just interview Bert Kreischer today. And then on Thursday, I don't know, maybe I'll have a scientist talking about the Aurora Borealis or something. And that can be it. But Joe's not doing that. And that's where you have some people that just can't sit still and have to do that.
See, I said it on a past podcast, I do exactly what Sean Connery did. I just said, I'm done. And they throw money at me. I'm like, I already made my money. I'm going to go to the fucking beach. Guy lived there for quietly and peaceful and died in his sleep. And it sounds wonderful. It sounds like a wonderful life. He wasn't on social media. Why would people put up with social media when they don't have to? If you got fuck you money, I'm not on that. I'm gone.
So social media was so much fun though. At one time, it was a way that, you get laid from it. You get girls sending nudes and their phone numbers and, in your DMs and everything. That was a fun time, but that time is gone. Now you have people talking about that Chris Rock made fun of a disabled woman. It's like alopecia is not a disability. It's a condition people have where they lose some hair. Okay, so what? I have fucking kidney stones. Make as many kidney stones as you fucking want, or jokes as you want right now. I don't care. You think I'm going to be offended? Chad was making fun of my kidney stones. Well, fuck him. I'm not doing the podcast anymore. They're jokes. And that's why Hollywood can't joke about anything. But that's the problem now, is that where are the places we can go to joke about things? That's where I think a lot of people thought about Compound Media, about Gas Digital, about different podcasting services by saying, hey, podcasting is the Wild West. Well, now you're starting to see podcasts start to censor themselves too. It's ridiculous.
And that's why this Monday coming up, not this today, just announced Tony Mazur is leaving Mondays with Mazur because of censoring. He has this new high profile gig. He can't speak freely anymore. He has kidney stones. So Mondays with Mazur will be just me now.
Yeah, well, if I leave doing this podcast, it's because I'm dead. And then you guys could be like, oh, see, he tried to kill himself because he didn't want to deal with Chad in his podcast.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wish them the best. I don't know. I'm taking a break from Compound Media and all that shit. I don't need it. I've been very productive as of late. I just been putting all my energy into being creative and coming out with some better content. And I'm done playing shock jock and he said, she said. It doesn't interest me. You got to have like something behind it. And besides, we lost the Foo Fighters drummer.
That's right. God bless.
We gotta.
Godspeed.
Tony, I can tell you're in tremendous pain, so we could wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm going to the urgent care right now as soon as I end this.
Damn. Yeah, go listen.
But I stuck it out. Look, I'm like Helen Winslow. I'm a motherfucking soldier.
You are a fucking soldier. Well, if you want to plug your shit, let's do it.
Yes. Well, they're gonna have to plug my pee hole pretty soon too.
Wow.
I believe it's the Check Your Brain podcast, free every Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts, and then I have the Patreon podcast at patreon.com/Tony Mazur. I put up 4 podcasts a week and guests and everything. So please subscribe, just $5 a month. And I could use it because I'm probably going to have a significant copay here in just a few minutes.
And of course, you can sign up to my Patreon. We do this show every single Monday behind the paywall, so we could talk what we really feel without getting in trouble. More importantly, Tony. But it's always fun. It's free reign of speaking. We just say whatever the hell we want. It's uncensored. So for as little as $3, you can sign up to patreon.com/sitdown Zumock and continued support to Tony and myself. And if you're on the iTunes listening for free, leave a 5-star review, Pandora, wherever you listen to it, bookmark it, tell it to a friend. Let's get the word out, guys. So on behalf of Tony Mazur, I am Chad Zumock. That's a wrap.
This might be the last one.
Next Monday.